You share what you talked to me about when you said that.
Yes. So this year alone, my word, especially in the fourth quarter, was courage. But I told people, and I've often told people, I am walking in fear. And the reason why I tell people that, and I know people look at me like, why would you say that? The reason why I say that is because I am scared. I'm scared of that next level. I'm scared of being rejected. I'm scared of so many things, but I have to just do it.
If you actually took time to learn about how incredible you were, nothing would ever stop you.
When I put forth a post, I reached out to people about having a mastermind group and about getting together with people who had goals and ideas that they wanted to have breakthroughs with for the new year. I had no idea the response rate that I was going to get, but for everybody that took the time to reach out, thank you so very much. What I've always wanted to create was a community of people where we could have conversations, dialogues, we could share ideas, things that make us all better. And I want this environment, I want you to join our community because we want to have a community of like-minded people who just want to see our lives go to another level. Nobody has all the answers, but together we can get so much more done as opposed to always doing it by ourselves. And I want you to be a part of it. And so this conversation, if you like it, like it. If you're moved to, subscribe to it, share it, because the world needs great energy. And, I was thinking to myself about goals and this conversation around wanting to have breakthroughs, because every year, I remember very much from myself, I would find myself buying a new notebook. I'd go to my local Barnes and Nobles, my whatever store, and I'd buy the nicest looking notebook, and I'd have all these goals, and I'd start writing them all down, and I had all these great ideas, and then like I'd look back at them like 6 months later or a year later, and I was so far off. And it got to the point for me, I can't speak for anyone else, where I started to distance myself from goals, distance myself a little bit from the things I wanted to accomplish, because I almost felt like a fraud. I almost felt like, I do this every single year. I create these goals. I'm really hyped up. I do the New Year's Eve, this is going to be it thing. Then I look up and nothing looks like what I thought it would look like. And that's trauma. So I don't know where this finds you. Maybe you're crushing it right now. Maybe you're having a run of momentum in your personal life, in your professional life that you've never experienced before. This could be it. Or maybe you're not crushing it. You're not in the space of where you're running with momentum. Everything just seems to be firing on all cylinders. My hope is that this conversation threads the needle for you. You're going to have an opportunity to meet someone special in a moment. But I want to just talk to you very briefly about a few things that I've come to discover for myself, not necessarily for you, that were things that were holding me back from having a breakthrough. Now, I don't have it all figured out, but what I have figured out was some of the trigger mechanisms that I could see in myself. And as spending time in business, I've been in business for almost 30 years, been an entrepreneur full-time for 27 years now. I've been around a lot of people. I've met some really impressive people, and I've met some people that wanted to create something impressive, but I've found there's a commonality for people that are looking for the breakthrough but haven't quite broken through yet. First is trauma. I gave you an example of trauma. I wrote goals. I had things I wanted to do. And when I looked up, those things weren't happening. So the trauma for me was that I was always thinking to myself, maybe I this is like I'm playing the game wrong. Or so I'd go read another book, I'd go watch another video. But what I didn't understand was that the trauma of not accomplishing something was really stealing my energy. I had to learn how to let one moment have a moment and not have that destroy my momentum. When you think about it, let's say you want to reduce weight, or you want to stop smoking, or you want to make more money, you've been dying to write a book, or whatever the thing is, and you have all this excitement around it. And let me tell you something, the thing about that thing that you want to do, that's a God gift. God's planted that in you. It's for you. It's not for anyone else to co-sign. That's for you. But sometimes, in a very, very diabolical way, we sabotage what we could do next by focusing on what we didn't do last. And that constant obsession with the last of my past is it like puts a chokehold on what's possible. So you have to allow yourself the grace. You're not who you were last year. You're not who you were last night. Your cells change every single day. Why can't you change? And if you have something very powerful to share in the world will hear it. And sometimes you just have to buy in for yourself. Meaning for yourself, what are the goals that you want to have for yourself? Because the other thing that I recognized was that my goals were group goals, not personal goals. Meaning, I would watch a video, read a book, and be like, oh my God, I wanted that too. And I write that down as a goal, but it didn't personally move me. Whatever mission you're on has to personally move you. And I want you to have an opportunity to meet a young lady who I was just on a phone call with. I'm not even kidding you. I was just on a phone call with her. And within about 5 minutes of this phone call, I'm like, what are you doing right now? And she's like, about to cook. I'm like, I need you to stop. So for her family that's not eating right now, we appreciate that. But you have to meet this young lady because I think the things that she's up to are so powerful. Miss Starr Clinton, thank you very much for hopping on. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank
I
you.
know you are. Happy New Year to
Same
you.
to you.
So you've got to do me a favor, and well, first of all, we connected on social media. I talked about the post that I did, and you replied back about wanting to have a conversation. And really, the whole basis of this is to work with people to go to that next level. But the reasons why you want to go to the next level is the reason why I said put down the pots and the pans and get on this right now. Could you share with everybody about you and the work that you're doing right now? That'd be great.
Yes. So my name is Starr Clinton. And my main focus, and it's very simple, straight to the point, is I focus on bridging the gap between the deaf and the hearing community. That has been my sole mission for so many years, even before I knew that it was going to be my mission. It's near and dear to my heart for so many reasons. I believe we could probably talk about that soon, but that is my sole mission, and I'm here to share it with the world, and that's all I want to do.
So where did this come from?
All stem from my mother. So my mother is deaf. Um, she was born deaf, no sickness or anything, just was born deaf. And honestly, I've saw so many trials that she had to endure, including with work, including with going to doctor's offices and things like that. And honestly, that was frustrating for me as her daughter, and not knowing that it was something that I thought I was going to be able to help with. But I've always wondered, like in the back of my head, like, there's got to be a better way to handle this. Like, come on, guys. Like, she's a human being. There's nothing wrong with her. She just can't hear. And I've seen it time in and time out. And I'm like, this got to stop. But even at family functions, I always got pulled in as the little interpreter. That's what I was. That's what I was known for. But I was still a child. I want to go play. I do not want to be inside with the adults. I didn't care to be inside with the adults, but I had to be. And so, not that I didn't want to help my mother, but it was just frustrating for me to see that no one could communicate with her on the level that I expected people to communicate with her, especially when it came to family. And I'm not faulting them for it. It's just it rose up frustration for me in that sense.
So just out of curiosity, how long have you been signing for?
Honestly, since a baby.
Wow.
Since a baby, my mom started me extremely early, which I advocate for that. Baby sign language is honestly where it's at, not just to learn for the deaf community, but just to reduce frustration in babies. I advocate for that wholeheartedly. But if I leave it to my mother to tell the story, I was fluently talking with her with the words that I knew by two.
By
So I
two.
was, I was able to really communicate with her on a level that a 2-year-old would be able to communicate with their parents.
Okay, so signing with Star, this is your business, right? And you have, I mean, when we talked about, what you want for your next level, right? So could you share what you shared with me about what you want for your next level?
Yes, so my next level right now is to get on those stages to really share, well, honestly, shed the light on the deaf community and why it's important for businesses to include them inside of their marketing. Oftentimes, individuals forget that there's a whole audience out there that they're not even tapping into, and honestly, it's probably one of the strongest audience that is out there that's going to spread the word quicker than what a hearing person really would do, just because they feel like, oh, they're including us, they want us to be a part of their community. And
Right.
so that is my goal, is to shed that light on these stages, including Ivy League stages. Like, I really want to tap into our newer generation, just to kind of help them shift their minds on what type of leader they want to be. Do you want to be accessible? Do you want your business to look diverse? And when I say diverse, often people hear that word and they're like, oh, we're talking about black, white, all that. No, I'm not even talking about that. Let's talk about the deaf community in a whole. That's a whole audience that people often forget about. Even to the deaf schools, they forget about them all the time.
Got it. So how are you getting yourself out there? Like how do people know? Well, I know signingwithstar.com. That's
Yeah.
two R's, by the way. So how do people, how have people been able to find you? I guess is my question.
Uh, Currently, it's been all through social media. As I'm going on this new venture, it's been all through social media. But we are launching our new website. I do have a website up, but we are launching a new website, just because we have new opportunities that we really want to share with others. And so it will be signingstar.com is where people can really reach me, and there will be a place for you to see all that we're offering, fill out a form, connect with me. We'll do a discovery call, and just to kind of see where you are and see where you fit within the spectrum, because I'm not limiting myself to who I can target, but my biggest target is corporations and smaller businesses.
Do you feel that we have all this stuff going on with technology, right? With AI and all this. What do you think that's going to do with bridging that gap, right? Because I'm assuming that there's someone somewhere who's probably coming up with something. Am I right or am I wrong about that?
I have been doing some research, including doing some research for myself, because I'm often asked in with Google, well, can we just use a Google Translate? And I'm like, no, we
Right.
cannot. It's not a thing. But I do believe AI is going to help us move into a place to be able to elevate that. I do feel like someone is on the verge of fine tuning that. There are some softwares out there where you can kind of use your hands to kind of translate, but it's not fluent. I don't trust it. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I do not trust it just yet. Um, but I do think AI is on the brink of something great. Um, as scary as it is for me,
I
I
understand.
do believe that it's on the brink of something great, and I do not look down on AI at all, because it is I mean, it's the next biggest thing that's coming into play. So you got to tap into it.
You said something to me about that you were afraid of all of this. Can you share what you talked to me about when you said that?
Yes. So this year alone, my word, especially in the fourth quarter, was courage. But I told people, and I've often told people, I am walking in fear. And the reason why I tell people that, and I know people look at me like, why would you say that? The reason why I say that is because I am scared. I'm scared of that next level. I'm scared of being rejected. I'm scared of so many things, but I have to just do it. I can't let that stop me. And so when I say I walk in fear, that is what I'm doing. I'm just going to step into it no matter what. No matter what the outcome is, I'm walking into it with fear and all, but with confidence. I still have confidence in myself. I have confidence in who I am, the expert that I am in this field. I just don't know what's on the other side. And so it's still my motto right now. I'm still going to walk in fear no matter what level I'm on, because there's always going to be a higher level than where I am.
You know, you have a great spirit.
Thank you.
You have a great spirit, and I know I just know you're gonna win. Like, I don't know. I can't. I don't speak about. I don't say things I just don't believe in. Like, I really believe you're gonna win, because you're at that Red Sea moment. You know, can you imagine being told, "Okay, we need you to go across this, right? This ocean's gonna part, and we want you to walk." And I'm gonna say that every single slave that left Egypt and began that walk. And when you look and you see the pillars of water by you, you're walking in fear. You're walking in fear. Yet there's a faith that, well, I know where I've been, and I know I don't like, I can't be there anymore. And I hear that there's something so much greater on the other side. So I love when you say I'm walking with fear, because most people just stop the moment they can't see the other side. They just completely stop. Have you found, is this the hardest thing that you've ever done professionally?
Yes.
Okay.
It
Okay.
is. It's that unknown, as you're thinking about, well, what scale I'm gonna be on. I started as thinking, okay, well, this would be a small business, but then the more I got into it, I'm like, no, this it's gonna be bigger than that. I want to go to that next level. I know I can do this, especially, and I love talking about this too. When I got my first gig with the city, training my city on this thing, I was like, whoa, this is bigger than what I was limiting myself to. And so, yeah. Yeah, most definitely. This is the hardest thing that I've ever had to battle. And honestly, the reason why it's hard is because of this.
Yeah.
My mind. In my mind, I wrestle with it. I'm like, am I good enough? Yes, you're good enough. Stop saying that you're not.
Right.
So, and, and I guess, when I think about working for someone, working for a corporation, it's easier because I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I'm coming in here. I'm just going to work my hardest. It's not as hard, even though it could be hard, but it's just like, I know what I'm doing. But when I'm trying to do this on my own, it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
this is tough, and it's a mental battle. Like, I literally have to get past the obstacles of myself,
Yeah.
not others, but of myself, because that's a big obstacle to jump. I'm just gonna be honest.
No, I love the authenticity, and this is why I said I need you to put that spatula down, because I told you when we were on the phone that I watched that movie Coda.
Yeah,
You know, it got all these accolades at the Academy Awards. I'm like, what is this movie? At first, I didn't even know what Coda stood for.
yeah,
But when I watched that movie, I felt that movie. You know, when you realize that the children of people who are hearing impaired, the impact and the things that they experience, you're just not thinking about it. So if you all haven't watched that movie, I encourage you to watch that movie. It's an incredible movie, just period. But when I started working for myself, so I used to work in pharmaceuticals, and when I started working for myself, I remember the first day I knew I wasn't going to be going to work, like for them, and I was going to be going to work for me. And I woke up, and when I tell you, I was scared. I was scared, because when it's all on you, and it's about your ability and your work ethic, because the thing about corporate America, or corporate whatever part of the world that someone may see this in, is you're paid for time. You're
hmm
not necessarily paid really for the results as much. So when you're in business, you're 100% paid for the result. And if you're not out there creating it. So if I could give you some things just based on the brief, just listening to you, that I know if you implement will help things like explode. The first thing is that people got to know you. And I've seen some of the stuff. I saw you had a video one of your videos went viral. I've seen some of the stuff you've done on social media. And I think that there's a world of people that are working in corporations, and they're trying to figure out how to embrace this community, but they have no roadmap. I don't know how much you spend your time getting yourself out there, sending out you should have a press kit on you. And a press kit on you needs to go to every single company. I mean, you're in North Carolina. My God, that's now like the new tech that's becoming the new tech capital. And you know, a lot of tech companies are all about being more inclusive and having more diversity. So I see that like there's that like I think Apple's out there calling it tech triangle or something like that. Not like you're limiting yourself to North Carolina, but you show up so great. Like just how you show up is so authentic. I mean, I want to give you my social security number. You know what I mean? Like you just seem like such a good person. Like it's like I'm here. I trust this lady. I don't know this lady, but I trust this lady.
Oh
And
my.
you can't really fake that on camera. So I'm hoping that if you already have one, if you don't have one, that you do one. And if you do one, you make sure to make it digital and you put your story in it. And it's important that you do that, that they need to hear your story. And I'm going to recommend if you're open to it, to sign your way into any conversation you have. So I don't know what it looks like right now if you have one, but I don't know the sign. I don't know signs. But what I do know is if someone is telling me that they want to be the bridge in the sign community and they could send me a digital press kit and they're talking to me and they're signing while they're talking to me about what now I'm like, okay, this lady is for real. Like this lady is for real, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is you've actually already begun that, which is you know it says that your gifts will make a way for you. Being able to do what you were doing at 2 years old is not like it's a big deal. You obviously have a gift and your gift is making a way for you right now. I love that you got paid by the city for doing that because it shows you the value that you bring to the marketplace. But I promise you, you have even infinitely more value in the marketplace than you could even realize right now. Like you don't even know you could be on the burgeoning on the stage of building a multi-million dollar company that generates millions and millions of dollars, but it comes as service because the money is in direct relationship to the service that you're providing people. And here's my thing, if you give great service, you should get paid. Like you should, and not only should you get paid, you should be excited and receiving it abundantly. There's this great book I'm going to recommend if you haven't read it. It's called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. Right, so she's like, "Did I read that book?" So you know, I'm sitting if if I have it, it's somewhere, it's around this office somewhere. But the reason I think my oldest son grabbed it. The reason why I want you to read that book is because it talks about our perceptions of how we're raised around money and how we see money, and sometimes we don't allow ourselves, but we have all the ability. I want you to read that book. I'll text it to you again if you need me to, because I want you to have your relationship with money be so amazing because you are doing such good work and great service. You need to have a press kit. That's huge. You need to put out free information. You know, like I don't know how much you're doing that now. Things that I saw that went the most viral was like something about a holiday. I think I saw that, and I think that went viral. But the thing is just the consistency of letting people and corporations know. And as you're doing these video clips, every company has that person who's responsible for this department. The names are different, but they're all the same title. You know, VP of Diversity and Inclusion, da 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 da. And my conversation with them would be, I understand you're thinking about bringing more African Americans on, more Asians on, more Hispanics on, more women on. Okay, that's great. But there's one community that encompasses all of that, and they're being totally ignored. And they have all the skills, capabilities. The only thing they don't have is a company that's willing to advocate and to say that you're not only welcomed here, we have made provisions for you to thrive here. When I just bring you in to check a box, we want to actually create an opportunity for you to thrive. Whoever that company is, let me tell you what it is. So if you tell them, bring me in, let me tell you what's in it for them. What's in it for them is recognition. What's in it for them is a lot of times there's governmental monies for doing things like this. So it's not like they're just doing this to be nice. There's something legitimately in it for them. If you can lay out all the things that's in it for them inside of your press kit,
Mhm.
that I'm not just bringing this to you, I'm bringing this to you because this is a benefit to you and a benefit way beyond just doing the right thing. It's doing the right thing and it makes fiscal sense. What are you thinking?
Yeah, you're right along the lines of what has been written out. And honestly, I have been really trying to figure out what that kit was going to look like. I have it written down. I kid you not. So you're confirming a lot of things that I have to get in order. And that's why I said this. It's been a preparation and getting ready for this launch, but you're right on it. So I appreciate that. And so
You
now what I got to
you
go.
need help. You know, what you'll discover is that usually the talent needs help
Yeah.
because you have the talent, but there needs to be people around you that can get this done because when you're a one woman, in this case show, you're the customer service department, you're the CEO, you're the finance office. There are, I'm going to say, whatever you can outsource, even something like Fiverr, I don't know if you ever used Fiverr before, but you have people on there that'll do stuff for like $30, $40, because in their currency, that's a lot of money where
Yeah.
they can build a press kit for you. You send them all your materials, they go back and forth with you, and the project costs like $50. But it's officially done.
Yeah.
Anything you can outsource, outsource.
Will do. Will do.
One last thought. I want to stay in contact for your victories. When you get a contract with blank and you go speaking on blank show or whatever it is that you're doing, it's so important that, and I could tell like you're probably very, very, very understated. You're just doing the work that calls to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you celebrate any achievement of a goal, it stacks great energy and great credibility to the wider audience. And someone says, you know what? We were thinking about going with Billy, but we like her more because she's been recognized in this and this and this. And I saw some of your recognition. You might have to like do a little bit of this just to let people know you're no slouch. Like you're the real deal. So you've got to be very okay with doing that because otherwise people don't know.
Yeah. 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 You're right in the ear of some others that's just like, Star, what are you doing? why why don't you make a big noise about this? I'm like, let me stay humble. I got work to do. I don't have time to boast in that right now. And so I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. It's honestly, and I will say, I'm gonna say this. I do know how I am. I am a super reserved, humble person. I've never been the person that liked to be in the forefront.
I understand.
So when I say this is nothing but passion
Yeah.
that's pushing me to this point, because other than that, the introvert, the humble, the reserved side of me would have said, yeah, you can take on that. As a matter of fact, I'll give you the vision and you take it. But I know there's greater work that has to be done. And not just for my mom, but so many other individuals who are deaf and hard of hearing that have experienced way more than she's experienced that I need to advocate for. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there's so many other people that's advocating, and I don't take that away from them. But I know what I have seen, I know what I have visioned, I know what God has given me, and now I have to take it and embrace it
Yeah.
and just be okay with whatever He has me to do and just continue to walk in it
Yeah.
and walk in it in authentic, like truly authentic way.
Yeah. Because you're here to serve.
Correct.
Yeah. Three things I want to leave you with. Number one is that point about your Red Sea place. That's very clear. Number two is when you're chosen for something. When God chooses you for something. I mean, you can duck and dodge and but Like there's no, it is what it is. But when you're chosen, you're chosen. And what's so interesting is that oftentimes those who are chosen have no desire to be chosen, which is why they were chosen. I mean, if you just look biblically, so many of the prophets were, they're like, what are you doing? Like Moses is like, I don't want to do this. Let my brother Aaron do this. Like, like this is where it is. But from a humility standpoint, you know, Jesus spoke from mountaintops and from hills because he needed as many people to hear him as possible. You have this thing now, the internet. The internet is your new mountaintop. And if you're not heavily promoting yourself in LinkedIn, which is where these people are, right? That's where
Hmm.
they are. These decision makers that you're looking for. Obviously your other stuff, because you could make one video and put across all channels, like one video across all channels, and someone is going to say, I'm interested in meeting her. And that makes all the difference. And now there's a family whose life you've changed. You know, that you said the word passion, that comes from a root of the word pain. And people who are passionate usually they've taken a pain and they've been able to convert it into what we call passion. And I know that whatever you experienced when you were a child, it lives with you daily, and you're going to help so many other people because instead of just sitting with it, you're doing something about it.
Appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time to hop on, and thank you for tell your family thank you for not getting too mad at me, hopefully, and thank you for taking your time to be on here. I want as many people to see this as possible because I think you have a phenomenal spirit, and I can't wait to see what you do in the world.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
No, I appreciate you. God bless.
Same, same. God bless you.
You see, now that conversation is what it's all about. Here's the takeaway. I'm walking with fear. People who are trying to avoid that, it's never going to happen. You have to look at your goal, whatever that goal is, as being a stepping stone to the big dream. You see, what happens is we take the goals that we write down and we put them in the same basket as the big dreams. I listened to a young lady, Mel Robinson, and she was talking about this, and Mel Robinson was talking about the goal and the big dream. And I thought, what a great way of putting it, because sometimes we lump it all together. If your goal is to achieve whatever that big, massive thing is, and you write it down for this year, well, it may happen this year, but it might not happen this year. So the question becomes, what happens if it doesn't happen? That's what the question becomes. And can you just make measurable steps? Tony Robbins says, measurable progress in reasonable time. Can you make a measurable step? So things that will derail you. Perfectionism. It has to look a certain way. If it doesn't look that way, I can't do it. Imagine Dorothy going down the yellow brick road, and instead of going to find the wizard, she's looking at the twigs and the leaves and saying, oh my God, this yellow brick road is so dirty, I gotta take time to clean it. Well, when will you ever make it to the destination? So some people, they get caught in perfectionism, or they have super, super high goals and not enough time to make that happen. Like, I'm going to become this in the next 90 days. Well, what happens is you begin to prove yourself to be a liar, and then your goals have no weight to them because you constantly, by the way, when you constantly put out super, super high goals, it's usually not even for you. It's usually because of how it sounds to the people around you. And then what begins to happen is you start to feel like a fraud, and they start to look at you like a fraud because you said you're going to do this thing. Understand, you may have the super, super high goal, but that might actually be called a dream. And there have to be steps along the way before you get to that dream, and that's what you need to focus in on. What are the steps I need to have along the way? Here's another thing that will absolutely derail your goals, and I know for me, is comparison. I've been in a competitive world of business for a very long time, literally ranks and all these other things. And what happens is you judge yourself according to somebody else's success. But there's two traps to that. The first trap is if you accomplish it and you do quote unquote better than them, you might actually start to believe you're better than them, which when you're comparing yourself to someone better, I guess, in that moment you were, right? Here's the other thing, is that if you don't do as good as them, you might start to think they're better than you. This is not how you want to look at things. It's a good thing to have somebody else's success motivate you, but when you get to the world of comparison, that is the thief of your joy. You know, I love the Olympics. One of the reasons I love the Olympics is because you see all these people from all over the world, and you see all these countries, and most of them will never get a medal. They won't get a medal. There's silver, there's gold, there's bronze, and then there's who came in after them, and we don't know who they are. But you see the joy that they have at the opening ceremony, and you see the joy that they have at the end, at the closing ceremony. And they got on that plane, they got to that Olympic Games, and they knew, I'm probably not going to win a medal. The vast majority know that, but I was in the Olympics. You see, the joy for them is playing the game. Now, I'm not saying don't play the game to win, but what I am saying is this: if you play the game and you're constantly in a space of comparison, even if you win, are you really winning? Your goal should be to do the best that you know you can be with effort and pressure. People try and avoid pressure. A goal should have pressure. It should have a friction to it. It should not be something that's a guaranteed to happen. It should be something that you need to work your butt off in order to make it happen, and then it happens. Because without that, it's kind of like I knew that was going to happen. And what's the point of that? What's the point of I have a goal of waking up and getting out of bed today? Okay, well, that's not really, is there any friction there? No, the friction that you're trying to avoid with your goal is the very purpose of the goal. The friction you're trying to avoid is the very purpose of that goal. The friction refines you like water refines a rock in a riverbed. Like, that's what happens. It's necessary. You need that resistance because you're going to grow new muscles. If it's a goal to stop smoking, the moment you create the environment to stop, you're on your path. And that's what I'm going to talk about. This last portion. It's about the systems. You know, so I was struggling a lot with, as I said before, with reaching certain milestones because I didn't have systems that supported me. But when I began to realize that I can have my dream, but my goals need to become systems, it began to change everything for me. Let me give you an example of a system. You say you want to go exercise. Here's a system. You put your sneakers and your workout gear right beside your bed. You see, when you wake up, you look right at it. It's kind of hard to not look at it, sitting right there. Now you got to make a choice. Either I'm going to put it on and follow through on my commitment, or I'm not. But if I don't, I have to literally, consciously step over the commitment. And that's not as easy to do. So when you put a system in place, you have a much better opportunity to achieve it. Someone who says they want to stop smoking. Well, the first thing that they have to do is they can't hang out with smokers. And I know, these are my friends, I got it. But you want to stop smoking. They don't. So if they don't, and you do, there's a conflict. There should be no unity there. There's a conflict there. You need to break out of that group and start to be around other people who don't or who have recovered from doing it. You see, systems means I have this thing that I want to do, and I need to figure out what in my life is not conducive to me doing that, and who do I need to be around that can help me create that. So if I want to reduce weight, I need to go into my house and look around and say, what here should I be eating? And whatever I spend for it is irrelevant. It needs to go straight into the trash. If you want to stop drinking, that bottle of something needs to go in the trash. And if you can't handle it on your own, you need to incorporate help. See, help is the ultimate system. I think it's so amazing that, like, in the Christian community, people learned about the stories of Christ and they realize, oh, what an amazing man, but they didn't realize he had help. Christ had help. He had help. He had a community around him. So people have all these goals, but they won't have a community. I think that's really crazy. I think it's crazy to have a goal, but not have anyone around you that wants to also participate in your accomplishing of that goal. Maybe they have the same thing for themselves. They want lifestyle modification. All goals are lifestyle modification. And when you look at your goal, you have to say, okay, I have two pathways. There's this theory called sliding door theory, and it says, like if you get on the train, your life goes in this direction. You don't get on the train, your life goes in that direction. But I want you to look at it like this. One of the most powerful parts of goal setting is looking at the impact of not setting the goal, or what happens if you don't aggressively pursue it. So if you look at, you say, okay, when I achieve this goal, my life is going to look like this. But if I don't achieve this goal, long term, my life is going to look like that. I had that moment. I'm in business for myself. I left my company, now I'm full time, and it's on me. I've got to figure it out. Now, blessed for me, I've always been surrounded by great mentors in business, so that's a blessing for me. But at the end of the day, I had to make the decision I was going to do the work. And I sat there one day and I looked, I'm like, look, I'm not going back to corporate America because that's just not me. But if I don't do this, I'm in trouble, because I don't want to go back to corporate. But I can't just sit here thinking about how I don't want to go back to corporate. I have to go do something. And I looked at those two paths and saying, if I don't do this, I'm going to end up going back to corporate. The thought of me doing the things I did before with the kinds of people I did before scared me so much. I went to work like an absolute savage. That's why that line is behind me. It's a reminder, stay hunting. Your goals have to be personal. You have to be honest with yourself and say, look, if this thing doesn't happen, what will my life look like? If this thing does happen, what will my life look like? And now you have to choose. If I keep putting this toxin in my body, what will happen to me long term? If I keep doing this, what will happen to me long term? And then now you have to choose. Now you have to choose. But it's your choice. You could choose to continue to do that thing and accept that outcome, or you could choose a different path and accept that outcome. But here's the great thing. The great Lord in heaven gave us the ability to make a choice. And so when you're looking at your goals, be excited that they're personal. Don't be comparing yourself to other people, because their life is not yours. God gave you your life, and it's supposed to be your life. But because that's the case, if it's your life and if it's your opportunity to enhance your life, which is what goals really give you access to. They give you access to a higher quality life. Nobody says, I have a goal that they want to be sick forever. Nobody has that goal. That nobody does. Every goal you've ever had is something that you wanted to enhance your quality of life. Now you have to make the choice. Are you willing to do what is necessary to put the systems in place? Not to compare yourself to other people, not to look back at what you didn't do before, not to crucify yourself for how you failed before, how you made a promise. Like nothing worse than abusing yourself. There's nothing, there's no payoff there. But there is a payoff when you say, I know I did that before. And maybe the people around me don't believe in me, but I've got to go find a community of people that will support where I'm going. And I'm going to go there. And I don't necessarily know it's going to happen next week, but I know I'm going to stay consistent until I accomplish it. And then that big dream that's looming above on your dream board, your vision board, whatever that is, that thing that you want to have accomplished, get out of debt, make more money, become financially independent, find your spouse, whatever those things are that you want to do. You have to understand that if the systems are not in place, it's not possible. But if the systems are in place, it's highly probable. Make this the season that you make that decision to not just have a goal, but to crush it. Not because of some radical new concept, but one slight adjustment. You made the choice to put the systems in place that honor the future you're creating rather than focusing you on your past. Again, if you got time, if you took the time to be on this with me and you got value out of it, like, comment, subscribe, let me know that you got value out of it, because I read every single comment. I do, or I will, as soon as you have a chance to do so. And what are your goals? What are the things you want to have happen for yourself and your family? Not just in a new year, in a new day. Because you don't have to wait for a new year to start to do something great. You can do something great because you want to do something great. So why not just start and just do something great? This may not be a New Year's resolution. Maybe you just resolved yourself that there's a new life you want to have, and you're just not waiting anymore. You're just going to go for it. And you know what? I'd rather go for something I love. I'd rather go for the life that I can see that I would love than to stay in the life that I would see that if I don't move forward, I will always carry that weight on my soul, knowing that I had it in me. God doesn't put anything inside of you that you aren't capable of doing. You know, if you have it on your spirit, it means you're capable of doing it. Now, the other thing God does is God will put resistance between you and the thing, because that's where you have to have the faith to believe that you can break through. To walk through fear, to find your faith. You always have to walk through fear to find your faith. But if you're willing to walk, you'll always be caught. The net is always there. It's just waiting for you to jump. Go for the biggest, best life you can right now.